Hello and welcome to the RCSPod podcast. I'm your host Calcio, joined as always by my fellow host Jimmy T. In today's episode, we really thought it was a great time to be chatting about how incredible our 2022 was and the 5 top moments we had as a partnership hosting the RCSPod podcast in 2022.
Yeah, before we jump into this, let's have a quick word from our sponsor that makes this show possible.
Moniverse is an art-based project that uses the power of NFTs to hone in on culture and bring it to the forefront. Their aim is to connect communities from across the globe via the most iconic monuments and champion artists and the legacy they create. Moniverse gives holders a unique experience in which they can travel back in time to see what man's greatest creations looked like upon conception via an immersive and educational experience that displays history, art and culture with guided tours via their AI-powered guides. The first drop successfully launched on the 11th of November and featured the stunning Archer piece in Milan, Italy. Following episodes will continue to expand the Moniverse and allow holders access to in-real-life events and further growing out the understanding of the incredible world we live in. Links to find out more will be provided in the description below. Yeah, so I think 2022 was a huge year for us. We did an incredible amount of things. We had some big milestones we wanted to hit. We had some amazing experiences, met some great people.
Yeah.
I wanted to see, Jimmy, where your kind of first big moment of 2022 was. What did you really highlight for yourself?
2022 started with me quitting my job and going full-time. My job, my safe, cushy job, fairly well paid of 10 years. Quit that job to go full-time DJing into NFTs, animating. So yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster year. But I think out of everything that happened this year and all the trips that we went on, all the things that happened in the market itself, I think personally, my favorite thing was actually NFT NYC. I think we had established ourselves enough as a brand and a podcast and in the space that we had so many people to connect with, so many people to visit, so many friends already in the space. It was so good to immerse ourselves in the environment for the week. I love New York as a city. I know you're not necessarily a biggest fan of New York itself, but I just had so much fun. It was awesome.
I did have an amazing time in New York. It was actually the first trip that we went on where I was drinking again.
Yeah.
So I completed a 20-pint challenge. We had a great week with Maui and a load of his friends, which was amazing because it was kind of the first time where we'd gone to an event and spent like a full week with other Web3. And obviously when we went to other events, we spent a lot of time with people. I obviously went up the mountains in Denver, which was amazing with Rusky and Cliff. But I felt like we really, because they were kind of our age and stuff, we had that week where we were just going out.
It was just fun.
Drinking.
Played a bit of football, drinking.
Yeah, we met loads of people that kind of knew who we were.
Went to F-DOS Studio.
And like just had a great time right now. And I feel like a lot of the connections made in New York have lasted the longest and the best. And I feel like even though I didn't love New York as a city, I love the experience. It does stink of pretty much everything that stings. We saw some great things like a man running with shit. I mean, that's relevant.
Let's not go into that.
We had a great time in New York. I think it was probably our most important trip in terms of kind of true business connections and actually just having a great time. Mm-hmm. From that though, my first kind of moment of 2022 that I wanted to talk about was actually those connections and how incredible it was to manage to talk to, interview and have stupid quality guests on the podcast. Just a few names that kind of stand out for me. Having Carly Riley on was amazing. Having Andrew Wang on at the kind of tail end of 2022 episode will come out this year, but amazing.
Eventually.
It's quite a long one. We did have a bit of a waffle. I had a few beers. We had AJ Vaynerchuk on really early on in the year. Just
K-Money,
founder
Alfie
Evan,
Motion,
K-Money,
Evan Keys,
Shilling Villain. The list really does go on. Wab and Co came on.
I still always want to call him Wab, but yeah, Wab.
We had such a brilliant, obviously Camel was on. We had like this repertoire of guests where it just kept coming. And this year we've got huge guests already booked in that are just also on that blow yourself away. If you want to be immersed in Web3 and you want to chat to big people and you want to have proper conversations, we've got those guests booked already or kind of in the pipeline. And I think it's just amazing that if you look at any other industry, how hard it would be to get access to the top people in that space.
We got a good combination, didn't we? In terms of it's
absolutely.
Like for a podcast, especially early on, for a podcast that was our size, we were not that big. I think the fact that we were animating people as their profile pictures was a huge selling point and really helped get people on. But also the people are just so approachable in the space, and there's such a it's such a friendly vibe, and this whole kind of rising tide lifts all ships kind of
mentality.
Yeah. It's just great, and I love to see it, and I love to see it eke out into other environments and spaces out there, this kind of community feel that we have in NFTs.
I think it also just has become more prominent realistically since the market has declined and since the quantity of projects has really reduced as well. I think that people who are still making content for us in our niche, obviously we make content, right? As opposed to have a project or whatever else, those people ultimately just identify the fact that it's going to be a lot easier if we work in unison as opposed to as fragments. So brilliant to be able to get such a quality guest repertoire and to be able to carry on so well as well. It's been amazing.
And it also helped with all these events we went to that we got the invites to a lot of the parties that we didn't necessarily own NFTs for, which was great.
The saddest part actually of all of it really is if I look at the events we've been invited to in 2023 that I'm personally going to struggle to go to because I'm having another kid.
Yeah.
You know, like there's events in Shanghai, Kuala Lumpur, LA, Vegas,
Paris, Miami. We've been invited to loads.
The list goes on. All these events we've been kind of invited to just go out, and it is just amazing that people actually want you to go and speak at places and do shit. I mean, you've spoken at events, which is awesome as well. I kind of always seem to be busy, but yeah, what a brilliant guest repertoire we've had.
Yeah, I mean, if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, I'd kind of like do you know what? 2022 was a really good year. It had its ups and downs. It's had its challenging moments, but overall, was just so much fun. And I think let's lead that onto my next personal highlight, which was for many moons, I was longingly staring out the window, watching other people have fun in the Doodles community and wanted to get in the Doodles community for a long time, and was finally able, bear market benefits, to it got down to a price point that we could get there, and bought a Doodle, changed my profile picture, assumed it as my digital identity.
I think it's nice as well because obviously I'd had some quote big NFTs as profile pictures before.
Yeah.
The Mutant, and I've obviously had a Doodle for a long time now, where they're in that kind of, they've outlasted the NFT crunch, right?
Yeah.
And I think it was one of those things where we were desperately trying to hope that you'd be able to find the right position to get yourself what you wanted. And when you told me you bought that deal, I was so pleased because I think it does just make a huge difference. But we make content, so much content, and you animate all of it. And it's really refreshing to see that you're animating something which you really like and that ultimately is going to be.
Well, we debated it for a while, didn't we? We debated it for a while because obviously it would be, in theory, better for us as a podcast and a brand if I had picked something else that was in a different big community that we could have been more involved in. But we wanted something that was true to my heart, and the creativity in the Doodle space and the community spirit is the things that I love about the space, the things that got me excited about NFTs when I first joined. And they're one of the only communities that's really driven that forwards and keeps going with that. I know there's other big blue chips and stuff that have a lot of creativity in, constantly bringing out products. I think, in my opinion, I think things like Bored Apes, there's almost too much going on, and it's you don't really know what to be looking for. But with Doodles, I just thought the vibe was so right for me. And then when I found my Doodle, this happy little Doodle that I am now, 1151, it was a match made in heaven. I couldn't say no.
I think the other big thing is that they're really, really good for animation, right? Which is a big part of our podcast. Back in the day, I'd really debated buying a punk. I like the lore of punks. I like the idea of them. But it's just not great for animating.
It's not, just
one of those things which I wanted, but just I couldn't use as a profile picture because it wouldn't be able to be represented on the podcast. Whereas a Doodle is fantastic. That's why their content, when Alfie does his animation, check out the episode. It's a really good episode.
Yeah, Alfie episode. Good.
But it's why it works so well, I think, for you as well as an animator, because your GM content, your Twitter shorts, your GIFs that you've done around your Doodle, they just flow really nicely. It's great to see, and I think some of the best people we've met have been Doodle holders as well. We've met some awesome.
And I really want to double down on Doodle's content for 2023. We've had part of proposal for Doodles News that's being reshaped at the moment to be reproposed. That's something that I can't wait to get stuck into. And your point that you just made that I completely agree with is some of the best connections and friends that we've made in the space have been Doodle holders, and I absolutely love the Doodle events that we went to. As I said, NFT NYC was a big highlight for me. A massive part of that was going to the Doodles event, chatting to Evan, chatting to Alfie, chatting to all the guys there, chatting to a lot of other holders, and just making connections.
it leads quite nicely onto my kind of next moment that I really loved of 2022, which was the final event we went to. So we went to the US for 4 different events. We went Denver in February for East Denver, which was amazing. We went to Permissionless in May in Florida. It was Palm Beach, which was just as Luna crashed. And I'm pretty sure Big Man was supposed to be speaking at the event. Obviously, he didn't turn up. And that was really a different taste for us as well, because obviously both of those there was a bit of NFT stuff in there and there was NFT pop-ups, but they were both crypto events. I think the reason NFT NYC in June stood out so much for both of us was it was the first NFT majorly focused event we'd been to.
Mm-hmm. In a major city as well.
We did also go to Germany for Meta Brews event in September and October, which was awesome as well. And it was very bad. That was another 20-pint challenge, which was,
what are they called?
Less said, but...
What's the big...
Oh, the Steins, yeah.
Oh, yeah, 20 Stein challenge.
Jesus, I did not do 20 Steins. I'm not made of metal. Yeah. And then finally, the event that tipped the year off was we went to Miami.
Yes.
In end of November, we went 29th of November to the 7th or 8th or something like that, or 6th, 7th of December. We went out for Art Basel and the Doodles event and all the pop-ups, and we caught the very end of Metaverse Miami. We had Kenobi, the co-founder, on really recently. The episode's actually on the channel. Again, well worth a listen because he's trying to build an event that's very different and isn't just another, let's get everyone in a big room and charge people loads of money. But I loved Miami in terms of, hated the people, no offense, hated the food, it was shit, but absolutely adored the time we had there and the people that we spent time with. There was so much football that we played. There was so many pranks. We put bacon in Jimmy's shoes in his bag. I got melon all over my face.
Yeah, I did melon you for that.
We played Buckaroo. You put like as much stuff on someone when they were asleep as possible. They put pickles in my pocket. We just had such a ridiculous time of just abusing each other with silly pranks. And I think that it was the first trip we'd been on where we managed to get a perfect blend of having a really good time and also making it really, really count. Because off the back of that, we're kind of co-founders in a project called Web3 FC, which is going to be a non-profit that helps to bring football and Web3 together in a way that is beneficial and not just another corny, here's an NFT project. We talked a lot to the Doodles founders and just people in general about the quality of our product, how we can improve it, what we can do with the podcast. And just genuinely, I just absolutely fucking loved it. And there's no chance that we are not returning for next year because it was the event for me.
Well, I bought my VIP ticket to Metaverse Miami already. I've got it. It's in the bag. Sniped it for a cheeky 0.2 ETH. My last 0.2 ETH I had in my wallet.
it was just brilliant. I think the biggest thing was that people were at the point where if they were turning up, it wasn't. I think with NFT NYC there were people who had booked it still in the bull, and they were already going and they were a bit whatever. If you were going to Art Basel and you were going to those pop-ups, you were going because you wanted to be there and you weren't just there because you'd already kind of booked in a bit. I
feel like they'd learned so much from New York. That when they went to put on their pop-ups in Miami, they were just so much better organized, orchestrated. They'd taken on all the feedback that people had from NFT NYC, and it was like the Doodles event was so good. It was just like my favorite pop-up in terms of just so good. Just to walk in, we played golf, free drinks, chatting to people, wasn't crazy busy.
So much sex on the beach.
Awesome DJs. You know, it was just so good.
We were quite openly, I wouldn't say critical. Well, we were of the setup in NFT NYC from Doodles. It was quite difficult to get to the 3 different places.
It was the club one that I was critical of. I wasn't that critical of the little of the themed pop up, even though we did queue for ages to get in. But because we were just chatting, we didn't get the experience. But we're just chatting to people, weren't we? So it was all good.
Yeah, and when I say critical, I just mean if we're being super honest. Like for me, obviously at the time you weren't a holder. We'd gone out. It was one of the main, not the main. We were already going to go, but obviously that was me unlocking utility, and it didn't feel as amazing as the Austin experience had been. I think compared to that, the Miami experience was fucking brilliant. It was just really relaxed. It was just genuinely really easy and refreshing. It didn't feel closed in. And obviously space is a big difference, right? But I spoke to Evan for about 45 minutes and he took me on a little tour of the golf with a few other people. he seemed much more relaxed and just generally was just calm. I mean, Alfie was just like boxing around, just having a great time. It just felt a lot more relaxed. So yeah, Miami for me was a huge highlight. And our final one, I think, is a kind of shared highlight, which it goes without saying, we really want to say thank you so much for the support we had in 2022. It was a year where we didn't make as much content as we had hoped, honestly. But I think the quality of what we did put out was brilliant. And you can see the quality improvement that Jimmy actually made as our animator, obviously, from the start of the year to our final episodes. The studio looks so much better, man. But hitting 10,000 subscribers for me was huge. I think it was a big milestone we kind of wanted to hit by the end of the year, and we did. We
really had to set it in our sights, haven't we? 10K would be a great point to get to. And I think you're right, the quality of it has gone on so well. I mean, the reason I quit my job in January to do this full time last year was because I wanted to be a full-time animator. Before I was animating, but it was like motion graphics and animation was like 40-50% of my job, and it was mostly video editing. I wanted to focus in on animation and to be able to do it every single day, and sometimes 18-20 hours a day, as it's been like throughout the year. It just gets me just more and more chance to hone the craft. And I challenge anyone who's animated more profile pictures than me this year. I think it was so many that I've done, and just loved every second of it.
It was really nice as well, because I think we actually managed to kind of evolve our product quite well. You know, even just the way the screen behind you has kind of become much more useful and much more engaging and exciting, and it's a challenge, right? Because obviously we always knew that with an animated podcast, getting people in the door would be fairly easy. You know, it's a different style of content. Yeah, getting people to actually stay, because ultimately, you know, it is a product that we know people have seen before now. Seeing how you've developed those little tweaks and changes is great. I think going forwards for us, the goal here really is to get much more content out, like we discussed in the last episode, and just keep on making it better. Yeah. But again, it 100% goes without saying, thank you so much for everyone who's kind of taken the time to listen, watch, and engage with the content. It's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, massively appreciated. And there's so many people that have come in and helped us and reached out to us, asked us if they can do anything to help push the brand on, help stuff with the community, and we just love all of that. And we've got a little Discord. It's not hugely the most active thing in the world. We don't spend, you know, we're busy guys. We don't spend all day every day in there, but there's such a cool little core group of people that would just do anything for each other in there. And we massively, I mean, we've had them up on the wall as community members of the week and things like that throughout the year, trying to show our appreciation in certain ways. But no, we're very, very grateful.
Yeah, that's been our kind of top 5 moments of the year. Again, there's been plenty of other honourable mentions that could have easily been in there as well. But I think it just goes to show that if you do put a lot of time into something and you do really try and engage and actually make it work, you can just have a great time. Like, yes, it could have gone better. Everything can. We could have had more subs. We could have got more videos out. We could have done this, and this. But I think overall, just even going back over those memories together, it is great. Like, we've done some crazy things, right? Like, so it's exciting. I'm really pleased to see where it goes. So it's been an absolute pleasure. Again, we now put out 2 videos every single week. One will always be Jimmy and I sitting down together, having a chat about different topics akin to this video. And then the other video will always be us sitting down with some of the most prominent names in Web3 to discuss what they think about the market, what they think about everything, and trying to get a bit of an inside mind and interview them in a different way, so you don't just hear the same questions over and over again. I've been your host, Calcio, joined as always by my fellow host, Jimmy T. It's been a pleasure. This is the Right Click Say podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment on what you'd like us to cover next week. Thank you so much for your time. Ta-ra.